Hands Up, Don't Shoot is a video production by 3 young Christian men who are raising awareness around policing and race matters in the U.S. Today, our guests will share about their video production and their vision for healing beyond the various forms of trauma and violence we all experience. Please stay tuned. Welcome to Perspectives on Faith and Culture. I am Karen Crozier, and I'm joined today by Rashawn M., who is a co-founder of We Free, as well as K.O., who is an artist and co-founder of We Free, and L. Pimba, who is an activist. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We are today getting ready to explore your video production on Hands Up, Don't Shoot. And we're getting ready to take the viewing audience now to the opening of your clip in order to have them experience it beyond just words. So let's look at the opening of your video production, Hands Up, Don't Shoot.
Okay.
Hands up! Hands up! Don't you move! Don't you move! I will shoot you! Hands up! Now! Drop the knife down! Shots fired! Shots fired! On the ground now! On the ground! Get back now!
Wow, those are some very powerful images and words that you display there. Please share, what were you trying to get at in the use of them, beginning with you, Rashawn?
I wanted to grab the audience's attention, let them know that there are things going on in this world that are terrible, which is things such as death and miscommunication and people not understanding each other. And I felt like this image would be, or this visual would be great, along with the sound. If you listen to the woman screaming, it would be great to capture the viewer's attention. So right off the bat, we go, to 10. Just to get them engaged. So,
yes, and you, K.O., what as the artist of music, as well as looking at what you and your brother were able to produce in this, what do you want to articulate with those powerful images?
I think the sound and the images go hand in hand. If it starts off real quiet and then it grabs your attention with screaming and yelling and hands up, don't shoot. And my brother did like a really good job with piecing that together, but using silence as a tool to start off and then going straight from 0 to 10, silence to chaos, it really grabs your attention and allows you to be more in tune with the message that's going on further in the video.
I actually give credit to L for that. It was his idea to begin the video with silence. I think that was very effective.
L, you want to chime in on?
I think I like the idea because if you watch the whole video, we basically take you to a ride, not to just what's happening now, but we actually take you back in time in all the different injustice and all the different cases. So it's basically just being able to see that cop car is basically a ride that the director was able to take everybody. So throughout the video, you actually go back in time and then come back. So that was a really...
Yeah, what struck me, share more about, you began with a minister, a clergy, slowly raising their hands, and then you have younger people, just ordinary people with words, phrases that seem to say so much more. Speak to that as far as what was behind that in your vision.
Well, it signifies many different things. One being which people from all different walks of life, people that have different jobs or do different things, different professions, all are on one accord. So we tried to reach out to pastors, police officers, everybody,
artists.
To be a part of artists, to be a part of this one message. So it's just for everybody to see that we're not only reaching one demographic, you know. So
And it's a community.
right.
You know, it represents because we use all kind of different people, just like my brother said, all walks of life, and we basically wanted to express that this is how a whole. It's not just one ethnicity or demographic. I mean, it's a whole community is feeling a certain way, and we want the violence and all that to stop. So we're all coming together. So it pretty much signifies like unity.
I'm going to share something about what hands up means to me and what was also played out in the various protests that occurred. It was like another form of vulnerability of saying, I surrender to the ways that you treat me and hoping you will see me as a human being and inviting people into a different space of relating to one another. Was that also part of what you're trying to invite people to think about?
Absolutely. I think that what we're trying to do is reach a crowd that is this movement is a part of, which is Hands Up, Don't Shoot, because nobody should have died. So we're paying tribute to the ones that lost their lives, as well as leading people to the ultimate result, which is Christ, the Scripture towards the end. So yes, I would say we are reaching different people, but.
Anyone else care to comment on that? On the hands up?
I think just to jump on what Rashawn basically said, it's basically for you to be able to basically say hands up, not only is that a tribute to those fallen victims, but it's also basically saying I'm vulnerable. Like I could react to violence or I could have a different way, but rather like, okay, just do what you want to do. I'm here.
Yeah, and having your hands up is like the most vulnerable you can
Pretty
get.
much.
That's like the most vulnerable position you can put yourself in. So I mean, I think that says a lot too.
Yes, I agree. Instead of having someone tell you that, you are saying, I have my own agency and right to say, I'm not coming after you this way. There's another way that I hope we can deal with this problem.
Definitely.
And so when we look at the fallen victims, there's a particular another aspect of the video that we don't have, but you talk about a little boy, or shows a little boy being killed. Share more about what are you getting at? Why is that image or that particular segment as such?
I think for that particular image, for me at least, I think there was a misunderstanding where the officer showed a little kid standing in the parking with a gun. And then when you watch that video, it's basically a kid in a parking lot, an officer inside his car, wearing a bulletproof vest, and you just take a second to think like how much harm can a 7-year-old really do to this 30, 40, however old the officer was.
And we jump into it, the purpose of speaking of the clip, we jump into it showing vulnerability, and that's why you see the child slowly raising his hands, you know, and then we cut to that clip where the officer pulls right up and just shoots the young man, the kid. So that again was something to grab people's attention and allow people to see that there's a problem going on in our nation, actually around the world. So that was another thing to just grab people's attention, and to also say, well.
Well, I think that scene displays a lot of fear,
Right.
Especially with like police officers, how they, some of them, not all, because I don't want to put all of them in one category, might see or African American men as dangerous, or just an African American in general, because like Elle said, how harmful could a 7-year-old be with I don't know what it was, like a squirt gun or whatever he had, but how harmful can that little boy be? And if you look at the video, he didn't take time to assess the situation. He really just hopped out of his car and started shooting, and all that comes down to him. He was most likely fearful of the kid before he even assessed it. He showed up with fear, and then he allowed fear to dictate what he did, which was kill the
assassinate a 7-year-old.
Perception is another thing too. Like again, like they said, this is a 7-year-old kid, but the perception that the officer had is he's a threat immediately. So it's ingrained to us, even the kid So it's ingrained as young as we're youngsters. That our perception of this color, this, so. Yeah.
Right, so you're speaking to more of a deeper
Right,
culture of
right,
violence and fear that we are trained in, socialized in, and having to combat that in nonviolent ways. And so that's a great segue into looking at how is Christ conveyed. You all are Christian young men, and Christ plays a central role in your lives. And we're getting ready to look at one of your clips, KO, excerpts from the video and how you see Christ conveyed. So let's turn to the monitor to check that out.
Put your hand behind your back. I can't breathe. 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 I can't breathe.
Yo, this is crazy. Two cars got shot in the head. Yo, this is crazy. 2 cops got shot in the head, boy. Yes, both of them is shot in the head. Yo.
Okay, well, there's a lot going on in that segment, that excerpt. The people saying 2 cops got shot in the head, and other people, I can't breathe, of Eric Gardner, and then we have an image of a person crying, "In God We." So share, how is Christ conveyed for you in that excerpt of your video production?
And that, if you look at it, I was crying for both sides. So you're crying for Eric Gardner, but you're also crying for the police officers, and it's crying for injustice on both parts. I firmly believe that no one should have died in any of those situations, and I feel like God is. And I feel like Christ would cry for both of them. He died for everybody's sins, so I feel like he doesn't want any kind of injustice on either part. So I feel like someone dying and to show an image of someone crying for both sides was really powerful.
Right, so lamentations, and even as a male lamenting, crying, is a powerful image in my opinion, because that is something that society doesn't support, of you being vulnerable and sensitive and sympathetic to the various issues in other ways beyond the ways the culture socializes. And so when we look at that, wow, Christ died and cares for us all, right? And Elle, when we look at a particular excerpt that you want to highlight how Christ is conveyed, we will get your commentary after we look at it at this time.
And they all about money. Ladies, all about money. This is all about money. And they all about money. It's all about money. This is all about the money.
So please share, Elle, how is
Because I
Christ conveyed?
think for me, how Christ is conveyed is the idea that, one, if we are a nation founded on Christ, then we have to stand by those ideals. But also when Christ died, he didn't just die for blacks, or he didn't just die for whites or any other races. He died for everybody. So the idea is to be able to bring everybody together, all these different walks of life, and basically explain to everybody, Galatians 3:28, that why are we fighting against each other when we are called to all be one under Christ? So basically, I think the director was able to capture that, and basically that's what we were trying to convey with that image. Is like, whether you're a cop, whether you're a rapper like Syrup, whether you're a kid, like, we're all one. And then I think the sooner we realize that, is going to help us start taking those steps towards actually solving all these mythical problems that we have in our society.
Thank you. We need to take a break at this time. When we come back, we will pick up from where we left off.
All right.
We'll see you after the break.
KNXT thanks all its loyal viewers and respected businesses who have supported your Catholic television station. Now you can support KNXT with program underwriting by having your name, your company's name, or organization associated with your favorite program. Detailed information about you or your company will appear before and after each program or day part you select. Keep the quality and spiritual message alive and make a difference. Call 559-488-7440 today or go online at knxt.tv to find out more about program underwriting on KNXT.
Welcome back to the show. I'm joined by Rashawn M., who is co-founder of We Free, as well as KO, who is an artist and co-founder of We Free, and L. Pimba, who is an activist, as we discuss in their video production of Hands Up, Don't Shoot. Before the break, we were dealing with how Christ is conveyed. Now I want to transition to something more of what was the most powerful or moving thing for you in your video production that really resonates with you, that really touched you the most in the process or in the actual production? Let's begin with you, K.O.
The most powerful thing to me, honestly, was seeing how everybody of all different walks and all different groups and people can come together and be on one project. I mean, I think that's all God, and all different religions too. I mean, I feel like we just set a really good example of how a city should be and how we should all come together. And I think that was the most powerful thing that touched me when it comes to the making of this video.
Great, thank you. L.
Yeah, just to touch on that as well, like being able to see everybody. I think it took us 2 weeks, and in that short notice, it didn't matter who it was. Everybody's like, whatever they were doing, they're like, okay, we want to be part of this. Everybody wanted to speak up. Everybody wanted to do something, and that was very, very remarkable regarding the project itself. And then in the video, when you see a cop assassinate a 7-year-old, it goes to show that there are deeply rooted issues in our communities, in our country that needs to be addressed, but there's a certain way that we have to go about having those conversations and addressing those issues, and this campaign is one of them.
Thank you.
Ooh, as a creative artist, a lot of the images, along with the music and the whole experience, personally for me, it was the experience. It was going up to officers. We actually reached out to officers and spoke about what we wanted to do. And the reaction we got from them was amazing to me. Some of the officers that were on the street, they really wanted to be a part of it. Unfortunately, we couldn't have them involved because of we had to go through the higher branch, higher
chain of command.
Yeah, right. But that was kind of for me, the most powerful thing, because we experienced breaking the barriers. Because when my brother and I would walk up to the police officers, there was on both ends. It was tension on his side and tension on our side. But once we kind of like laid it out what we're trying to do, that barrier was then broken. And that was beautiful for me. And along with the whole experience, like El was saying, and staying up nights and calling, for two straight weeks, a week and a half, just making phone calls. And so the experience was great for me.
The Bible does say the young people will lead us. So how do you feel as leaders in this project? How have you come to understand yourself as a leader in light of the way that people responded to you?
I think that anyone who follows Christ becomes a leader. And really it's just listening and putting him in front of you, because then people naturally are going to follow you. And we all are perfect examples of that. I think that would be my...
El or Rashawn, anything you would like to add to that?
I think for me, to be a leader, there's not an age, or there's not a... Because I think for me, before I was involved with this campaign, that's the biggest thing. I was like, man, I got life plans, I got life goals, I got all these other things going on that I don't have the time to make a difference or the time to help. But once I had that conversation with somebody, said like, yes, you're young, but you shouldn't sit back and you know, expect other people. So once you are put in that position, the next step is just you pray that God gives you the strength and guide you, and basically whatever he's going to take us or whatever he has in store for us, we're ready. And
thank you. And Rashawn?
I love these guys. They just said pretty much everything. Touching back on what my brother said, as far as following Christ, I believe a good leader is also a follower. So I think that, like he said, when you follow Christ, you become a good leader. You learn, because Christ was the best leader. So you learn how to lead. You also learn how to follow. So as far as leader, I'm still learning. It's a growing process for me and all of us, I would say.
Yeah.
And so it's just a growing process. It's a beautiful process as well. So, yeah.
Right, and I want to pick up on that beauty, because at a time when black people and young black males are target of being something, of being criminals or being miseducated or being imprisoned, you projected a different image of what it means to be a black male, and the beauty of that as well in your leadership and service in this capacity. So I don't want to let that go by.
Oh.
That is something positive in what God is doing in each one of your lives. So I hope you will be able to hold that dear as you continue to discern and follow and submit to the way of God. And as we think about, because you dealt with something that was difficult, that is hard, that is older than all of us put together on this stage, but yet you seem to portray a sense of hope. What is the hope that you have found in this process after doing this Hands Up, Don't Shoot video? Ko, you want to begin with that?
The hope, I mean, like I said earlier when I said everybody coming together, I mean, that I feel like that should give anybody hope. Because it's still possible for everyone of all walks of life, all ethnicities, to come together and for the good. It's not about something negative, and we're all trying to help out our community. We're all trying to help. So I feel like the hope comes from everybody, and what that boils down to is love. Everyone loving one another. And I feel like when we have love and we display love, there's always going to be hope.
Elle?
I think just being young people involved from different backgrounds and being excited about being part of it, that's what gives me hope. But also that knowing that ultimately God has a plan for everybody's life, so we can only worry so much.
I would say for me, it would be to shed light on what's more important, which is Christ, and to use our creativity and all of our different things that we were blessed with to do so. So just hoping that people would pay attention to what is the most important thing, which is why at the end it ended with the Galatians 3:28, just pointing towards Christ. So.
It is, as you speak of people seeing the video, how can they access the whole video? Is your production, so they have only seen excerpts of it on the show today. Please tell the viewing audience how they can access the video.
They would go to YouTube and hashtag Hands Up Don't Shoot with no spaces. And it will be either the first or second video that pops up. And they'll be able to see the whole thing.
Okay. And what do you think, what have been some of your reactions and experiences of people who have already seen the video? Comment on that.
Well, there's been family members. There's been a lot of family and friends that have sides and have approached us in a manner of trying to figure out what side we're on, which is interesting. There's been people that saying, "Oh my gosh, this is great." There's been people that are saying that this is stupid, But it's not about fearing about what other people think. It's about ultimately doing what Christ called us to do. But the reactions have been many, I would say.
Elle, what has been your particular experience with the people who have seen the video?
I think as far as people, one of the biggest things I had my boss tell me, you can't post anything on your Instagram. And then I was like, why not? Well, it's just that we don't want to be associated with. I'm like, no, but what are we doing wrong? We're just standing up as young men and saying that there's an injustice, let's do something to correct it. Because a lot of people are not comfortable having those conversations. And it's something that we are hoping to change, to be able to have a conversation. So like, hey, what do you think? Whether or not you agree with me or disagree doesn't matter. But the fact that we are able to have that conversation helps us to ultimately be able to achieve those goals when we live in a society where everybody is equal, where we are, in fact, indeed, we are a nation founded under Christ, and we need to start acting like it.
Yeah, many people would like to say we are a nation founded on Christ, but it was really more the Enlightenment principles, a philosophical orientation that didn't really take seriously what it meant to be one submitted to the way of Jesus, the way of love, because we were enslaved. Enslaved Africans was part of the founding of this country, and the native people's land being removed from the land. But when we look at, but yet we do hold the principles of what it means to be Christian in this country. And as we get ready to close up, I would invite each of you to share in 30 seconds or less, beginning with you, K.O., what do you hope people will see or do once they watch your video?
In a nutshell, I feel like when people watch my video, I really would like them to just love one another and help. So whenever they see or get an opportunity to show that, then that's what I would want them to do.
To love and help. Elle, what do you hope people will see?
I just want people to take the time and actually watch the video, get the message, but it's just not about them watching it, but do something. Like whether sharing the video with a friend, sharing the video with somebody that you know, and let's start having the conversations. It might not be comfortable at first, but it's something that we have to do.
Thank you.
I would say the same as far as like not just being seers but doers. So do, that's what I would say. And love, touching on love and scripture, going back to the word. So.
Yeah, and in my watching of it, I hope that they will be able to stay present to it and not turn away, because it is hard. But I think you gentlemen do such an excellent job in what you portray, the way you capture it in the multiple voices and persons that are used. I know that God will continue to bless you. Thank you for being on the show today. And thank you for watching. Take care and God bless.